Gemini, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In these videos, every single week, I review the major planetary aspects and transits, and I let you know how they are aspecting or impacting your natal sun and what that's going to mean for your day-to-day. To understand the language of this video, the messages of this video, all you need to know is your birth date. Everything else I will translate for you. Though if you want to grab your natal chart, that's free, it's easy, it's online. Many different websites do it. You need your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location, and they'll spit out that information for you for free in a heartbeat. But for right now, all you need to know is your birthday, because I will translate everything else. I'm going to start off really big with the big stuff, the stuff that's general and it's going to be impacting everybody. And then I'm going to focus that down to Gemini specific energy or information for you. And then I will break everything down into the 3 decans of Gemini. A decan is a group of 10 degrees. And by doing that, I'll be able to understand how all the other planets are aspecting your natal suns, so that I'll pinpoint how it's going to impact you. You will see very soon that not all Geminis are going to be experiencing things the same way. So let's get into the big stuff. There is a lot. Actually, there's a lot going on, but it's about release. This is for the week of August 30th to September 6th of 2023. So it's really 100% about release right now, Gemini. It's about coming down from a really stressful period. We just had this beautiful full moon yesterday, which isn't included in this week, but I think it did catalyze the release that's happening, especially in 2 different places. Number one, with the sun. So we have, of course, the sun was a big part of the full moon. It's an essential part of the full moon. But the sun has been in opposition to Saturn since last week. And this full moon really culminated, and I think all the pressure and emotions just building up to explode because the moon was conjunct the Saturn when the moon was full in Pisces. So this really pushes all of our emotions out and allows us to purge, especially in consideration of where we didn't feel good enough, or where we were overstressed, or where we felt we weren't being appreciated, or we were held back, right? Or not being able to be ourselves. All of that frustration bursting. And then almost, serendipitously, the sun is going to be moving out of opposition to Saturn. By the middle of this week, it's done. It's over with. And you'll feel lighter. Everybody will feel the freedom of that. Another thing that's happening is this Mars-Neptune opposition. Been very deceptive energy, very challenging energy. Like you're swinging and angry at shadows, like you're not getting anywhere because what you're aiming at, what you're fighting isn't actually even something that you should be fighting. It's not even real. It's like you're punching shadows. So ultimately, that energy is going to dissipate by the end of this week as well. And that's the effect of like, oh my God, the craziness is starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. We have Uranus that's already gone into retrograde on the 29th. So you're going to start to feel this energy of like things going more inward because all the planets are in retrograde or shadow right now. Venus comes out of retrograde on the 4th of this week. So on September 4th, Venus goes direct. But she's really not going to start moving forward for another week. And then it's going to take her some time to catch back up her momentum. So that's really not good. You're not going to feel Venus in full effect until, say, the end of September, October. So for right now, everything is really still slow. On September 3rd, Jupiter goes into retrograde. So there's another retrograde energy that comes. Really, Mars is the only one that is moving at regular speed, and Mars is in detriment in Libra, which means it's vulnerable. It's not as powerful or potent because it's dealing with the most uncomfortable energy for it. So what Mars tries to do in Libra is take action toward equilibrium. And that's what it does. It's looking for equilibrium. So it's not going to zoom forward or be as aggressive as it normally is. unless it concerns aspects of justice, which globally could be in full effect right now. We also have another uptick of optimism this week, which is Jupiter is trying to Mercury all week long, and it's Mercury retrograde, so it's almost like the relief and the retrospective is actually the way that we're supposed to be expanding right now, by allowing the lessons to almost teach us, come to us. And then the sun, by the 3rd of this week, so by September 3rd, also conjuncts to Mercury, which is brilliant and illuminating energy of, aha, now I see it, now I get it, now I really understand something that in retrospect I understand that I didn't understand the first time around. It's trying to Jupiter too, so by the end of the week, this is very optimistic, understanding, kind of awakening energy. Beautiful. Jupiter is also square to Venus, has been for a while, will continue to be as Venus slows down. I think she's about 12 degrees Leo right now, and that's where she'll stay. And Jupiter will stay for this week at 15 degrees Taurus. So there's just this energy of indulgence or decadence, or feeling a lot of pleasure and being extra sensual, maybe to the point of excess, but at least at this point we'll start to see it, realize it, and know it. You'll understand it instead of it getting one over on us, that kind of energy. On the 4th, in addition to Venus going direct, something else happens that I thought I'd bring to your attention because I think it's really interesting. So on the 4th, the moon, after being that beautiful full moon in Pisces, ends up in Taurus, conjunct to both Jupiter and Uranus. That's okay, that's cool. That's kind of illuminating energy as it is, but it's directly trine to the Sun conjunct Mercury, or Mercury conjunct the Sun. So what does that mean? This is definitely a day of self-recognition and comprehension, of understanding something that had been blocked from us that we didn't see, and allowing ourselves to expand simply through knowledge and through comprehension and understanding. Allow yourself to receive the blessings of that day. So let's get into Gemini specific information, shall we? Gemini specific information starts off in Gemini. So what's going on in the zodiac sign of Gemini? Nada. Nothing. Nothing is happening in Gemini. At least nothing major that I would discuss here. So nothing major is happening in Gemini right now. But what's going on with Mercury? Well, we know something major is going on with Mercury. Mercury is moving pretty fast at this point again. It's up to, its full speed is like 10 degrees a week. And now it's at 5 degrees a week, but it's moving in retrograde. So it's in Virgo, moving from 18 degrees to 13 degrees. And it's going to be conjunct the Sun by the 3rd, which is going to kind of have that illuminating understanding, kind of confident in what we're thinking, maybe finally having the words to say what we need to say, or understanding the lesson. By the 3rd of this week, all week long, it is trying to Jupiter. So there's an optimistic understanding of the information will come if we allow it to come, open-mindedness, clarity. And then we have, this is interesting, a sesa square or a sesquiquadrate. I always say that word wrong, I apologize. It's basically 130, 135 degree angle. It's a tense angle, a challenging angle. It's a challenging angle to Pluto by the 3rd, between Pluto and Mercury. Now listen, this information is going to spur you into action. So because Mercury is at that point conjunct the Sun and trine Jupiter, the fact that it comes into a sesa square with Pluto really is going to be something that makes you want to take action, makes you want to change something or realize that something must be changed. So it could be very disruptive, but more in the way of inspiration, so that you really act on something. Now, when I say act, it doesn't necessarily mean progress. It just means realization and actualization. So a real kind of aha moment, especially then with profound impact on the 3rd. So let's move into the 3 decans of Gemini, shall we? If you know that your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Gemini, so in the 1st decan of Gemini, then you are Gemini 1s. This correlates to Gemini birthdays that are basically in May. So anywhere between May 22nd and May 31st, you are Gemini 1s. This is a rough patch, I will say. Your natal suns are square to Saturn, which means there's a lot of tension, feeling restricted, feeling like you can't be yourself, feeling like somebody's always challenging you or saying you can't do something, or that you have so many obligations, it's just kind of choke holding you. So that's a feeling all year long, especially with your career. But you also have a long-term semi-square to Chiron, which is going to agitate but also frustrate you, feelings of I'm not good enough, and when will I ever be good enough, and why does this always have to be so hard? Am I ever going to be fulfilled? It's not like not being satiated though. It's feeling constantly challenged. And then having the square to Saturn is intensifying that energy. So this whole year really is kind of very difficult and challenging for you to kind of draw out your inner strength and strengthen you up for the year to come, which can be so much easier once you've learned those lessons. But this week, through the 1st of September, we have a square to the sun. And then we also have a trine to Mars. So it's at this time, mid to late week this week, where the shit is going to frustrate you like crazy. And there's going to be something that really starts to make you realize, I got to confront and figure this stuff out because it's coming to a head now, and I just got to take care of this. And so it may be extra work. Slow yourself down and go one step at a time. The only way out is through. All right, Gemini 2s. If you know that your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Gemini, you are Gemini 2s. This correlates to Gemini birthdays about, this is an estimate, between January 1st and January 11th. June 1st and June 11th. So your natal suns are sextile to Chiron, especially if you're born around the 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th. That's going to be the tightest sextile to Chiron with you guys. And this means that you are really motivated to make the world a better place because of the shit you've been through, and to take that and change things so that other people can have better lives, and so that you can too. So there's opportunity that opens up through lessons you've learned the hard way, and especially by sharing them and using them as teachable opportunities. That's for the next year. But this week, you got a lot going on, man. You've got a sextile to Venus, which Sun sextile Venus is optimism and beauty and grace and social opportunities because you're so gosh darn charismatic and appealing. This is a great time to change your look, change your style, or just experiment with it, because it'll just lead to beautiful attractiveness. And this could also be financial opportunity, where you really start to gain value, let's say. You do, however, have a square to Mercury retrograde and a square to the sun by the 1st. So what does that mean? Well, watch out, because a square to Mercury retrograde is just going to intensify Mercury retrograde. And what it's going to do, slow things down a lot, because your Mercury retrograde symptoms will be, you're ruled by Mercury, so this is especially going to be intense for you. If you are suddenly, you can't be eloquent with your words, you're flipping all over your words, you can't find the words aren't coming out correctly. Gemini 2s. This is because of that damn square to Mercury retrograde. Don't worry, sweetheart. It'll only last a week, but it's going to be a pretty tough week in terms of communications and getting your thoughts together. Do not take a test now. Do not go out for any important interviews or presentations or write up any legal documents. Don't buy a new computer or a new anything. This ain't the week. just use it to take stuff in, collect information, and kind of be in almost quiet observance of things is the best way to go. The square to the sun could mean you're also compromising your confidence. And of course, if you're Gemini that can't speak correctly, you're going to be compromised. So even the way that you look or how your ego shows up can be really challenged right now because of all the Mercury stuff. So since Mercury and the sun are conjunct, they're kind of working together. Not the best time for you to really show off. However, you've got this beautiful sextile to Venus, so it is a great time for self-care, a phenomenal opportunity to show how much you appreciate you. There you go. Now, Gemini 3s. If you know that your natal sun is between 20 and 29 degrees Gemini, you are Gemini 3s. This correlates to Gemini birthdays between the 12th and the 22nd of June. 22nd is usually into Cancer, but some of you in the beginning of the day could have still been born in Gemini. So for those of you, your natal suns are going to be sextile to the North Node and trine to the South Node for the next couple of months. What does this mean? It means you're future focused and you're ready to assert your own consciousness, to take responsibility for who you are. And you could also start to realize that you're more attracted to things that used to repulse you or didn't interest you at all, or the things that you used to feel comfortable with. It's now the opposite that you want, that you are being called to. This is just growing more toward, it's a sign of maturation and it's a sign of personal development. Let it happen because it'll open opportunities for you. We have a square to Neptune, which is long term, which can kind of muddle the mind. But for you guys especially, I think this is a great time to write. This is a great time to allow your imagination to run wild on a science fiction novel that it's like let your mind run wild and be creative and communicate those distractions so you can use that energy instead of allowing it to distract you or challenge you. If you're at the cusps, which would be the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of June, but that's 23rd of June is Cancer, usually so is the 2nd, so it could basically be the 20th, 21st. Your natal suns are going to be trine to Saturn, which means all year long there is a harmony that comes from the stability and the maturity of long-term commitment and high standards. So yeah, beautiful energy there and very helpful, especially in terms of success and career. Also, it could mean that authority figures in general tend to want to help you right now, which is a good thing. We have a quincunx to Pluto, which is for the next couple of years. What does that mean? You're going to be a real thorn in people's sides, and they're going to feel you coming from a mile away. You are the natural disruptor right now, Gemini. People are throwing stones at you. It's because they fear the consciousness that you bring into the room. But you do have to be aware of it, because even when you're not trying to do it, you'll be doing it, and it could frustrate some of your long-term goals. We also have a semi-square to Venus for right now. Semi-square to Venus just means frustration when it comes to your own your value, maybe frustrated with your banking account balance, frustration when it comes to how you look, the way that you look, control over your aesthetic. You could find yourself extra frustrated where you aren't normally. This too shall pass. I love you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed this reading. If so, please like it and share your love, and share this video to people that you know will love it. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you can enjoy these videos always, and then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye, Gemini.